From the 11 Alive studios, this is The Georgia Vote with Faith Jesse and Zach Merchant.
Hey, good morning and welcome to the Georgia Vote. A major shakeup this week in Georgia's U.S. Senate race. One of the top Republican contenders is officially out.
State Insurance Commissioner John King ended his campaign for Senate just about 10 weeks after he started it. He says he got into the election to beat Senator Jon Ossoff, but says there is now little path forward to winning the nomination. So what happened here? King's campaign has not responded to a request for comment, but new details suggest Governor Brian Kemp may have played a role. Two sources confirmed to the 11 Alive political team Kemp in recent days has placed calls to Republican Senate hopefuls telling them he will not be endorsing them, and instead he is throwing his support behind the apparently soon-to-launch Senate bid by former Tennessee football coach Derek Dooley. Now, if that name sounds familiar, it is because he is the son of legendary University of Georgia football coach Vince Dooley. Kemp's political team declined to comment when we reached out to them earlier this week, but we do know the governor spoke with another Republican Senate contender, Congressman Buddy Carter. Carter's camp brushed it off, saying in a quote from a spokesperson, "We are unfazed because the only endorsement that we are focused on right now is that of Donald Trump." Now, as for John King, he now says he is shifting his focus to a re-election campaign for another term as Georgia's insurance commissioner.
Meanwhile, the Georgia governor's race is gaining steam. Democrat and former Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms kicked off her Standing Up for Georgia tour in Clarkston on Thursday. Her first stop was a sit-down with CDC workers hit by those federal job cuts. Bottoms also met with local leaders in DeKalb. Now she's set to take her message statewide, with stops planned for the rest of the summer and into the fall as she makes her pitch to be Georgia's next governor. Well, the U.S. government has put thousands of files online that it says fully discloses the files on the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Now, so far, early reviews say the documents don't offer much new information, but the release itself has caused a big stir. The 11 Alive political team's Doug Richards explains.
I'm not sure there's going to be any major revelation, but I think it's great to have the transparency.
Ben Hess of Northern California says he's an admirer of Martin Luther King Jr. He was visiting the King Historic Site east of downtown Atlanta.
Are we releasing the information to taint his legacy? Then I would not be a fan of that.
Hess is among those who worry that 21st century politics is part of the reason the Trump administration was so eager to disclose the Cold War era King files, even over the objection of King's surviving son and daughter.
It is all a sham, a cover-up.
State Representative Al Williams was acquainted with King when the Nobel Prize winner inspired the creation of a voting rights school in South Georgia called Dorchester. Williams believes President Trump released the King files to distract from an absence of files about Trump's former friend and sex offender, Jeffrey Epstein.
It is outrageous, it's foolish. The country wants to know what happened with Epstein. And he's going back, I guess, next, he'll want to pull up the files on Custer. I mean, anything to change the narrative.
And I don't think it should be made based on politics. It was murder.
Visiting from Texas, Kamisha Edwards agrees politics produced the King files, but says King's legacy is strong enough to withstand whatever is revealed. Doug Richards, 11 Alive News.
State Senator John Kennedy is looking for a promotion at the state capitol. The veteran lawmaker is running now for lieutenant governor in a crowded GOP field. We sat down with the Macon Republican this week to talk about his campaign and his priorities. You're running for lieutenant governor.
Yes.
At least two other Republican state senators are also running for lieutenant governor, as well as a Democratic state senator. So that's four of you, all in the state Senate, all running for lieutenant governor. And you've got to still legislate next year in the middle of campaign season. Can you do it?
Sure, we can do it. As you know, and you're alluding to, election years are always interesting. I'll put it that way down at the Capitol. Do they get complicated? Yes, they get complicated. But I hope to set an example, as I have for 11 years, and certainly the last 3 years of serving as President Pro Tem of the Senate, of making sure that we're there to be respectful and responsible to the people that put us there, to do the job we're there for, which is to hopefully help and aid to pass good legislation that helps Georgians and also stop bad legislation.
Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, who of course is running as a Republican for governor, he recently announced the launch of what he's calling the Committee on Eliminating Georgia's Income Tax. You're on this committee now. Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones has made eliminating the state income tax a cornerstone of his campaign for governor. Do you agree? Do you also want to see the elimination of Georgia's income tax?
I do want to see us continue to reduce, and it would be good if we can eliminate, yes, Georgia's income tax. But I want to make sure that we do it in a smart and responsible way that doesn't just shift the burden somewhere else, or more importantly, not truly reduce the overall tax burden on Georgians. And so I think for that reason, we've got to be smart, we've got to be transparent, we've got to look at what the different possible solutions are. And one of the questions on some people's minds are, well, how do you do that? And the answer is, well, that's why we've got the study committee, is that we'll be looking at responsible ways to reduce and hopefully eliminate the state income tax.
Just you as an individual legislator, do you have, in your mind, in your view, in your experience, spaces in the state budget where you look at and you think, there's some fat we could cut here?
Sure, and that's the first thing I would say is there's always ways that we can do things more efficiently and better for the state of Georgia and for Georgians, and doing so being smarter with tax dollars. And
specifically, where would that be?
Well, I think that's a general obligation on all of us, but I think one of the areas that we do need to look at, and that is in the areas of tax credits.
Back to school season's coming up. Education policy has been a big priority of yours, right?
Yes, it has.
Tell me about that. We
have a hidden threat against our children, and that is the problem with chronic absenteeism. Zach, that's defined as a child missing more than 10%, which is 18 days of the school year. Roughly 21% of our children are missing 10% or more of their school days. That's 360,000 children in our public school system that are missing more than 18 days a year. If they're not in school learning what they need to learn, they're not going to be literate at the literacy levels that we need. They're not going to graduate. They're not going to have that part or a chance of the American dream. And so I wrote, and we passed, and the governor signed Senate Bill 123, which addresses chronic absenteeism.
And that is just a part of our conversation. You can see our extended interview streaming right now on 11 Alive. Plus, you can download it on your TV and watch for free.
Well, it is time now for our Politics Roundtable, and today we have Democratic strategist Fred Hicks, the founder of the Hicks Evaluation Group, Republican strategist Spiro Amburn, Senior Vice President at McGuire Woods Consulting, and Rahul Bali, politics reporter at WABE 90.1 FM on your radio. Welcome to panel, guys. We just heard an incredible conversation between Zach and Mr. John F. Kennedy. Rahul, we want to start with you on your thoughts on this. And my question is, how likely is this state income tax to be abolished? How likely is that?
That's something I've been following. This whole idea of, if you're going to abolish the state income tax, how do you replace the billions of dollars? Is it going to be raising sales taxes on services? Like, you and I don't pay sales tax for your plumber or your mechanic. How are you going to replace all that money if you take away the state income tax? Two other interesting things about this race. First of all, the launches of the two campaigns were interesting. John Kennedy clearly linking himself to Brian Kemp. Steve Gooch, the majority leader, clearly linking himself to President Trump. And last thing, as somebody who has a seat in the back of the chamber, and all the senators are running, it's going to be very interesting in the upcoming session, sitting in the back, watching all the senators who are thinking about 2026.
You got to legislate while you are campaigning. I think this is a good moment to shift gears here. Spiro, I want to bring you in because we're talking about this income tax elimination proposal. Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones is now running. Of course, he's a Republican. As a Republican for governor, one of the cornerstones of his big campaign kickoff pitch was eliminating the state income tax. From a Republican strategy perspective, is this doable and is it a winner?
Look, I think it is popular with a certain voting bloc on the Republican side. As Raul pointed out, you know, sometimes it's harder to implement these types of things because you have to look at ways to pay for it.
Because in Georgia, legislators have to pass a balanced budget.
That's correct, and we are already one of the lowest per capita spending states in terms of what we spend on our state government, which is good. We've had good conservative fiscal management now going back decades. So, you know, it's a valiant effort to say we're going to eliminate the state income tax and compare ourselves to states around us. But we also have to look at the broader tax base and see how we compare on some of those other things like sales tax and taxes on services.
And I wonder, too, because anybody saying they don't want to pay less taxes. That seems like a winner. But Fred, will that be enough?
Well, I think as Spiro mentioned, this is a popular idea, not just with Republicans, but with people and Georgians overall. However, the question remains, how are you going to offset that, and where is it going to come from? Is it going to be hotel motel taxes? Are you going to see an increase in sales taxes? Or are you going to see further cuts to services? And Democrats, and I think all Georgians, are particularly concerned about services, particularly like healthcare services. We've already had almost 9, 10 hospitals closed. Are we going to further gut healthcare and put Georgians' health at risk? So there's got to be something that has to give here, and that's what Burt Jones has not yet addressed.
And let's talk about this field on the Republican side. Of course, we have Burt Jones running for governor now. Chris Carr, the Attorney General, he has been in this race since last year. On the Democratic side, former Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms is in. State Senator Jason Estevez is in. Guys, if we can cue up, we have a little bit of some audio from Michael Thurmond, the former DeKalb County CEO, at a recent speech he gave in Albany, seemingly suggesting he's going to get into this race as well. If we have that ready, let's play that.
So I ain't going to stay long, but if y'all invite me back next year when I'm running for governor, I'm going to be up here for a while.
Look, given a sermon there, very well liked, left a huge legacy in DeKalb County, somebody that people figure is going to run, and it seems like right now he's announced that he is in it.
And they would be careful. Obviously, this happened. We reported out. The campaign, don't want to call it a campaign staff, but folks close to Thurmond say it's not an official announcement.
Right.
But that's probably about as close as you can walk.
It's about as close as you can. He said it.
You're doing it.
Yeah.
How do you all feel about that?
Well, I think the big question is, when is he going to announce? He talked about this time next year. Well, this time next year, the primary will be over. So you're going to get in 2025, 2026. As we saw in the lead-in, Mayor Bottoms is moving forward. Senator Estevez is moving forward. This train has left the station, and he's falling further and further behind. So I'm not sure what he's waiting for in terms of getting out there, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'll add to that. I mean, the clock is ticking. We've been talking about this all summer, when people are going to announce. We saw Burt Jones get in, after the 4th of July holiday. I suspect that we're going to see 1 or 2 more candidates in both the governor and lieutenant governor's races, but time is running short.
We're already in July, Raul.
Yeah, but he does have that base in DeKalb County, which is going to be really important in a Democratic primary. But I would agree with both of these. You feel you're starting to hear the clock.
Well, on that point, I'm sorry, Fred, we are going to have more time for panel on the other side of the break. Stay with us. We'll see you on the other side. Welcome back. Well, she is widely known for her role in the hit reality show Married to Medicine. And now Dr. Heavenly Kimes wants to go from primetime to politics. Bravo reality star, cosmetic dentist, and entrepreneur is running for Georgia's State House District 93. And I sat down with Dr. Kimes to talk about her priorities and how she plans to balance her reality on screen to her reality on the campaign trail. Let's say you get this job. Day one, what is your priority?
My priority has to be education because I feel like education is something they cannot take away from you. If you get that professional education, no matter what happens in the community, in the district, in the state, you can still have a viable income. Now, we can actually talk about education and the limits that they're putting forth on getting a professional education, too. I think that is something we need to concern ourselves with.
In reference to the big, beautiful
the
bill that was just
big ugly
passed?
bill, I like to call it, the big ugly bill. Yeah, they're putting limitations, I think, to $200,000 total in loans. Now, I see a little bit of both sides of it because it keeps you out of debt. However, there are a lot of people that cannot go to school, cannot afford school without a student loan, myself being included. I would not be a doctor today without the HEAL or the DEAL loan.
A lot of people know you from reality television.
Yeah.
How do you respond to critics who say that your on-screen persona could undermine your political aspirations?
I think that, first of all, I'm not a felon. I hate to say that way, but seriously, I'm not a felon. I don't have a lot of issues that a lot of political campaign people have. I'm a professional. I'm an entrepreneur. I've ran multi-million-dollar businesses. I've created jobs in the district. I have a vested interest in my community because I have a business in Gwinnett County. So I think that people need to know that entertainment is entertainment, but I do have a quick mind and a quick thought process and a quick mouth.
And you take me to my next question.
Right.
You're known by some for your unfiltered commentary. You don't keep anything, you don't sugarcoat anything, right? You put it out there. But some of your commentary has sparked some backlash.
Yes.
Recently, you apologized for some comments when you were talking about a conversation with, quote, real men. You did apologize for that from that YouTube video. But how do you plan to navigate some of your past comments that could be used against you in the campaign?
I think that I just had to hit it head on. You know what I mean? I'm a person. I'm not perfect. I would never say I am. But I think we need somebody bold that's willing to speak up, that's not afraid to speak up for our people. I think that's one of the reasons so many people are backing me. And the people backing me has been so supportive. I've gotten so much support. So from everybody, every culture, every background. So I'm very excited about running. And I think that people know everyone makes mistakes. But the thing about it is you have to own them and keep going.
Okay, we are back with our panel. I want to turn to you, Fred, as a Democratic strategist at the table. We just saw this interview from Dr. Kimes. What is her strategy if you were planning her campaign to, number one, kind of distance herself from reality television, and really kind of take up, try to take a seat that's held by Doreen Carter, who's been in that seat for nearly a decade?
Absolutely. So I would really fashion myself as a serious, substantive policy candidate. She has the TV, she has she'll have the name ID, she'll have the financial resources, but take issues like education, like healthcare, and other democratic issues, and really make herself an expert on those and talk about those things. And I think if she does that, she'll be more than okay and has a decent chance.
Could that reality TV be kind of an advantage for her, though, the popularity?
Well, it'll help her raise money. It'll help her stay in front of people. And again, in this district, I think that's a little conservative. You know, it doesn't hurt her at all.
It's another race that is going to get a lot of attention is the U.S. Senate race here in Georgia. We just saw Insurance Commissioner John King. He has dropped out of this race. Congressman Buddy Carter says he is staying in. We've got about 90 seconds left here. Spiro, what jumps out at you right now in this race?
Well, first, I don't recall a candidate getting in a Senate race and jumping out so quickly.
Like 10 weeks, right?
In unprecedented times.
And he had raised, about $1 million in campaign account.
It done decent, but obviously it seems that Governor Kemp is now weighing in. Georgia history is not on the side of anointing candidates necessarily, but Governor Kemp is riding a wave of popularity and power under the Gold Dome. So I think he wants to exert his influence here, and we'll see what happens.
And that's the thing. I mean, Governor Kemp is widely popular in Georgia. If Derek Dooley gets into the race, he puts his backing behind him. I mean, these other candidates, they're going to have a little shaking in their boots there, Raul.
I think the most interesting thing is, what does the rollout of Derek Dooley's campaign look like, assuming he does run? And we're also hearing that Congressman Mike Collins may jump into this race. What does the rollout of his campaign look like? And are we headed towards a Trump versus Kemp situation if President Trump backs Mike Collins and you have Kemp backing Derek Dooley?
Fred, from a Democrat's perspective, if that does play out, where there's sort of the two-track endorsement primary where you're looking to get Governor Kemp's backing and other candidates are looking for President Trump's backing, for Democrats, do you kind of welcome that scenario?
Oh, absolutely. And I think you do two things. Number one, you force any Republican candidate to take a position on Epstein that will divide them from the president potentially, or put them on the opposite side of the president's base that's fractured over this issue right now. And I think the second thing, to Spiro's point, this is very risky. In baseball, if you get 3 out of 10, you get a big contract. In football, if a quarterback completes 7 out of 10 passes, he's headed to the Hall of Fame. Yeah. Well, no one bats 1,000, and so if the governor swings and misses on this, which I think he will, then it can hurt his legacy.
There's also a chance that the governor and the president could come together behind a candidate. So
there is. Guys, we appreciate you as always. Stay with us. More Georgia Vote is up just after the break. Well, we are now less than 1 month away from the deadline to qualify for the city of Atlanta's general election.
That's right, and this race is already starting to heat up. Candidates who want to run for mayor or for other city positions like city council or council president, they have until August 22nd to make it official. Some candidates have already started campaigning and fundraising. Those include current mayor Andre Dickens, who is running for re-election. Some of his challengers include Marcus Lamar, Kalima Jackson, and Helmut Domagalski, according to the Atlanta campaign finance reports. We'll be watching closely to see who else decides to run before the deadline. Election day is November 4th. Up next, our voice of the voter is teaching history while being a living part of it. This week, our Voice of the Voter takes us to the historic Ebenezer Baptist Church, where they host daily church talks. Ranger Marty Smith leads the talks, and he brings a personal connection to Dr. King's story.
Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
How you doing?
Doing great.
Faith Jesse, nice to meet you.
Marty Smith, same to you.
So I am so excited to be here in the original Ebenezer Baptist Church.
And we're going to go back into 1960 and 68 while we're walking upstairs.
All right.
Everything upstairs is put back to the way it was when he was here. All this is original. Original pews, original podium, original pulpit furniture. The last time Dr. King did a sermon inside the church, those are the hymns that the congregation sung.
What are we listening to?
You're listening to Drum Major Instinct. Technically, really, this is what Mrs. King requested to play during his funeral service. So during his funeral service, the last 5 minutes of this tape was played during Dr. King's funeral service. That's the funeral wagon that carried his body through the city of Atlanta. Powerful, powerful story behind it.
So where are we sitting right now?
We're sitting in the basement of Ebenezer Baptist Church, where what we call Fellowship Hall. Martin Luther King was baptized in the basement.
Do you think his legacy is living on right now in Washington?
I think a lot of this legacy is living on. I mean, one of the things I could say is that, like Congressman John Lewis, I mean, he fought and they worked side by side with each other. You got Senator Warnock, who comes from Ebenezer. He has birthed many strong individuals to be able to represent what he spoke about.
What do you think people can take away from his message?
I think when you look at his message, Dr. King spoke about injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So he stood up for the common people. He stood up to make sure that people had the opportunity. And if it was something that was wrong, we need to speak out about it.
What are you most concerned about?
History. I'm very concerned on, are we sharing this history? So it's important that we educate our youth so they can understand that when you hear a message that's not the proper message, that you need to move away from it.
What would you say you're most optimistic about?
Economic growth of people, especially here in Atlanta. It makes me see that things that Dr. King and them might have been fighting for, we did reach some of that here. We can't take that time off. It's just too important of a struggle that we have went through in our history to take the time off to not educate our folks so they can know where they need to go.
And you can visit Church Talks every day at 11, 2, and 3. Thanks so much for watching.
We hope to see you again back here next Sunday at 11 for another edition of the Georgia Vote.